Hello and welcome to Movie Facts in 3 minutes. As always, we try to include lesser known facts and aim for 3 minutes, sometimes a little more and sometimes a little less. Let's see how we get on. So today we are going to have a look at Raiders of the Lost Ark, released in 1981 and spawning a franchise that continues to this day, with the 5th movie due to be released in the summer of 2023. George Lucas conceived Raiders of the Lost Ark in 1973, shortly after finishing the comedy film American Graffiti. An old movie poster of a heroic character leaping from a horse to a truck reminded Lucas of the early 20th century serial films that he enjoyed as a youth, inspiring him to make a B-movie modeled on those serials and conceived of The Adventures of Indiana Smith, featuring an adventurous archaeologist named after his Alaskan Malamute dog. Around the same time, Lucas was trying to adapt Flash Gordon. But, unable to obtain the film rights, he shelved the Indiana Smith idea and focused on creating his own space opera, which would become Star Wars. While on vacation in Hawaii with his friend Steven Spielberg, on a beach near Mauna Kea, Lucas and Spielberg discussed their next projects. Spielberg wanting to direct a James Bond film, leading Lucas to state he had something better than a James Bond film, and pitched him The Adventures of Indiana Smith concept. Spielberg loved the idea but hated the name of Smith, changing this to Jones, thus creating the iconic character's name including the nickname of Indiana, from Lucas's dog, which is a running gag through the movie and indeed entire franchise. Lucas desired an unknown actor for the role of Indiana Jones, and as a lot of people are aware, Tom Selleck was originally cast to play Indiana Jones, but, due to contractual obligations with his TV series Magnum Pi, he had to pull out, the irony later being that the 1980 actors' strike put Magnum on hiatus for 3 months, which would have allowed Selleck to star as Jones, but by this time Harrison Ford was cast. Selleck would later state, "Look, I made a deal with a Magnum, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm proud that I lived up to my contract." And some people said, "You've got to get into a car and drive into a brick wall and get injured and get out of a Magnum and do Raiders." I said, "I gotta look my mom and dad in the eye, and we don't do that, so I did a Magnum." That's not so bad, is it? Many other actors were also considered for the role, including Bill Murray and Chevy Chase. Can you imagine Bill Murray as Indiana Jones? Spielberg has said that Ford was perfect for the role after seeing him in The Empire Strikes Back, and producer Howard Kanzanjian said Ford had always been considered, but not originally cast because he was already a well-known actor. Lucas was also concerned about seeming reliant on Ford by casting him in another film after Lucas's Star Wars, and also did not think Ford would commit to 3 films. Spielberg originally wanted his girlfriend at the time, Amy Irving, for the role of Marion, but she was unavailable. Spielberg was aware of Karen Allen from her performance in Animal House, portraying an independent female character, and she impressed him with her professionalism during auditions for Raiders. One of the first things Spielberg asked Allen was, "How well do you spit?" Allen would create her own entire backstory for Marion. The scene between Bellick and Marion in his tent was improvised. The script called for Marion to shed her conservative Egyptian clothes and don a revealing dress to heighten the tension when she and Indy are fending off snakes as they're sealed in the Well of Souls. Bonus fact: in the Well of Souls, carvings of C-3PO and R2-D2 are clearly visible on the walls. The script didn't include why Marion ended up in the dress. In order to get her into the dress, Allen and actor Paul Freeman improvised the scene where she hides a knife with the older clothes she takes off to try to seduce Bellick and escape, and thus giving her character a plausible reason to be in the dress. Allen thought it would also be a good idea to call back to the drinking game scene that introduces her character in the beginning of the movie as well. Fans of the film have often wondered just how Indy managed to swim from the steamer ship to the Nazi submarine and then survive the trip all the way to the secret island where the ceremony with the Ark takes place. The short answer is that he can hold his breath for a very, very long time. but a deleted scene from the film gives a better if not implausibly answer. The scene shows Indy clutching the periscope of the Nazi sub, that is conveniently above the water for the entire trip to the secret island, which explains how he managed to not drown. Spielberg thought the scene looked cheesy and scrapped it, hoping that audiences wouldn't question the unresolved logistics considering the fantastical elements that would happen in the film's climax. The life-size mock-up of the U-boat is the same one used in the movie Das Boot. The crew of Das Boot woke up one morning to find it missing, only to later learn that a certain filmmaker named Steven Spielberg had rented it for his movie, and no one had informed them. During a scene where Indy threatens a group of Nazis with a bazooka, a fly flew into the mouth of actor Paul Freeman. Refusing to break character, he promptly swallowed the fly and continued the take. The facial cast of actor Ronald Lacey for Todd's famous face-melting scene was made of Algin 8, the same thing dentists use to make impressions of your teeth. Special makeup effects supervisor Chris Wallace was responsible for making the melting look effectively hideous, using a facial mold on top of a stone skull to survive the heat that would make the mold melt. Wallace covered the skull with thin layers of gelatin that melted at low temperatures and added colored yarn to mimic muscles and sinews. 2 propane space heaters were placed on either side of the head, which, over the course of 10 minutes, melted the face. Wallace sat just below camera with a hair dryer to do some on-the-spot melting wherever needed. With the final shot being sped up, Bellick's exploding head was made of mostly the same materials, but some meat and liver were placed inside to make it especially disgusting. It was so gross that the effects team had to add in a pillar of fire in the foreground of the shot to tone down the gore and avoid an R rating. So that's it for this episode, and we shall revisit another Indiana Jones movie in the future. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment. Cheers.